This is a Model T on tracks. What incarnation are we looking at? This is the Quake LED 1926 Ford Model T. And it has tracks, not just for the rears, but also the fronts. Typically, when you see old Ts like this was actually a thing back in the day, you would see the tracks on the rear and skis on the front, but this one has the tracks on the front as well. And because this is the Quake LED car, it does have retrofit LED housings here for the front, and one of the more fun things here at SEMA, it's interactive. Going around the rest of the car, this is actually very relatively stock. Even the inside here is mostly bone stock. Even the engine, the original 4-cylinder, has been retained. No LS swap here to be found. And then back here, this is one of the craziest views on the whole car right here. This is their self-proclaimed emotional support spare tire because, I mean, it's got tracks, but they still wanted to have a spare just in case something went down here at the show. But I love it. Everybody here at the show loves it. It is a wild build for sure. What do you guys think about it? So now you know that this is a GMC Typhoon, and it's the original sleeper SUV. If you're unaware, the Typhoon was beating up on Ferraris back when it was new. And that's because under the hood is no ordinary engine. This is a turbocharged 4.3 liter V6 engine. These made about 280 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. Add the fact that this is all-wheel drive with the rear bias. This thing did 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds. And again, that was good enough to beat the Ferraris of the day. Most of these were sold in sinister black, but this one is of course a super rare white example. Not to mention, this is riding on a set of custom BBS wheels all the way around. The Typhoons also came with a full body kit that ran all the way around too. And since these were based on the Cyclone pickup truck, they only came as a 2-door. Inside, we'll find a pair of leather seats and a surprisingly large backseat area. And of course, it has a turbo gauge. Not many Typhoons were made, making them an ultimate rarity today. And this one is definitely one of the nicest examples out there. So now you know that this is the Gucci edition Cadillac Seville, and it is the definition of American excess. I have wanted to feature one of these cars for so long, but there's just not many of them out there. Let's talk about what makes these so cool, starting with the grille up here. Yes, that would be a gold Gucci badge up top. And the gold just does not stop. You have gold headlight surrounds, gold logos, and gold center caps with those Gucci logos. And then taking a look down the car, you actually have the painted Gucci tri-stripe. But it gets even better because check out up here at the Landau top with, again, the Gucci pattern stitched into it. And again, more gold badges. Finishing off the exterior, again, gold taillight surrounds and gold badges. But perhaps best of all, look at the interior. You have this nice thick leather with, again, Gucci tri-stripes, logos everywhere you look. It is nothing but Gucci. So why didn't these things sell? Well, it's because they cost the modern day equivalent of about $130,000. Still, I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad I got to check this one out here at the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA. So now you know that this is a Cuvale Mangusta, and it's an ultra rare American-Italian sports car. Now you're probably wondering to yourself what this even is, and don't worry, you're not alone. The Mangusta was designed by Marcello Gandini, the same guy that brought us the Diablo and the Countach. And on top of that, De Tomaso actually built these things. But this thing is way more American than you might think. Specifically, more Mustang than you might think. Look at the door handles. Those are pulled straight off of an early 2000s Mustang. And then look inside. Not only is the steering wheel from a Mustang, but so is the gauge cluster. Even most of the switches came from Ford. But it doesn't stop there, because under the hood we will find an unlikely engine, a 4-valve per cylinder Cobra motor, 4.6 liters, 320 horsepower V8. But remember, this thing is Italian in its design. Look at how the fenders aerodynamically go into the mirrors. And the rear wheel arches have a hump at the back. Very Diablo-esque. Speaking of Diablo, if you look past the grills on the taillights, you can actually see taillights from the Diablo. This car is also both a Targa and a convertible. You can take this middle piece out and store it in the back, and then this piece piece folds down into the bodywork, giving you the full convertible experience. Everything in here is trimmed in fine Italian leather. These also had a Borg-Warner 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic. Only about 250 of these are still surviving, making this one of the rarest, quirkiest cars out there. So now you know that this Honda Accord has the most speakers of any car I've ever seen. It has speakers everywhere you look, even in the bumpers. Take a look here at the front doors. They are swinging all the way out, so this sound car can not only have the demo inside of the car, but also standing outside of the car as well. You can see just how many speakers there are all the way through this. In total, 138 speakers across the entire car. And it just gets crazier from there. Take a look at the dash. It's all been replaced with amplifiers. There are 4 stacks of amps in here, totaling 120,000 watts RMS, not peak. You also have 2 sets of battery banks to keep everything going, the complete enclosure back here with massive subwoofers, and you have to keep it tensioned with this bar here. The roof is entirely reinforced to help with the flex. You even have speakers here in the windows back here and down below the rear bumper as well. Plus, even more speakers back here. Just everywhere you look, no matter where you are on this car, there are speakers. This thing is one of the loudest cars in the entire world, and I gotta know, what do you guys think about it? Too much? So now you know that this is a Honda City, and it's a JDM hatchback with some questionable modifications. Starting with Exhibit A. And this is only the beginning. If we take a look inside here, I'm sure some of these mods were nice at one time, but it has definitely seen better days. Like this dash covering right here is just pulling off. This needed to come off anyway. Pull this over here, take the speaker with us, and there we go. It does look like these tweeters were held on with screws at some point, but clearly those days are long gone. The door card inserts are wrapped in this fabric, but honestly, I kind of like it. Same deal with the ashtray, which came preloaded with some Japanese potpourri. Another nice touch would be these jelly cubes here for the HVAC, and it's got a very nice Pioneer sound system that likes to eat CDs. It's got a toll card reader and quite a few stickers here in the interior, some of which I really can't show. It's also got exposed wires here for the horn and exposed wires here in the footwell that honestly, I don't know what these are. Check out this homebrew job of the aftermarket speakers here on the parcel shelf. That's supposed to be up here, and they even made an attempt to make some mounts for it, but it is completely collapsed and no longer can support itself. But there are 2 things that were not changed. I'm actually glad for these 2 things. 1 would be the seats, and 2 would be the engine. A carbureted 1.2 liter D-series single cam engine that makes roughly about 60-ish horsepower. Even with all of the questionable modifications, this car has soul. So now you know that this unbelievably is a Honda Odyssey Type R. The guys at Bisimoto and JDI have envisioned the perfect Honda Odyssey. This is the K20 C1 from a Type R under the hood here. This makes 320 horsepower, and it looks completely factory. You have the intake that matches the Odyssey. You've got the battery from an Odyssey, all of the trim pieces from an Odyssey, but then you take a step back and look at it from the front here. FL5 custom lip. These wheels are Honda Access Type R wheels. Going to the interior here, red seat belts, red stitching in the seats, but look at this. This is an EP3 shifter from an old Civic Si here on the dash. It is a true manual transmission. And get this, it has a matching clutch pedal down here in the floor. It's mounted up top, so it's all seamless. And one of the coolest things, this window sticker is actually a spec sheet. This vehicle is measured in miles per gallon. And then around back, to really tie everything together, this is a rear diffuser from a Honda Civic Type R, a beautiful tri-tip exhaust, just like you would see on the Type R. This thing is genuinely so cool. If Honda made this today, I'd be first in line. So now you know that the Honda SMX is actually 2/3 of a minivan. Let me explain to you what I mean. The SMX is essentially Honda's hotel room on wheels. And essentially what they did was take their minivan, the step wagon, and make it smaller. Instead of having 3 rows, you have one here and one in the back. But get this, the dash you're looking at here comes from a Honda step wagon, their minivan. All of the diagrams you see here on the air conditioning system are step wagon van silhouettes. You still get the dual glove box setup, and you have your cup holders down here in the floor. You could even option in GPS in the mid-90s with this, or you have a standard storage box. This blank switch right here would actuate the rear air conditioning system, though this one just has an air purifier in the roof. All of these switches to the right of the steering wheel are exactly the same as the step wagon. Matter of fact, let's take a look under the hood. This is the exact same B20B engine that you'll find in the step wagon. So if you're in the market for a JDM van but don't necessarily need a 3rd row, the SMX is the perfect car for you. So did you know that this is a WCM ultralight and it's powered by a Honda S2000? The stats on this car are absolutely ridiculous. Let's start with what's under the hood. An F20C from a Honda S2000. This makes 240 horsepower and it's paired to a close ratio 6-speed manual transmission. And get this, it only weighs just over 1,200 pounds. So the power to weight ratio on this is over 450 horsepower per ton. That makes for a 0 to 60 time of just about 3.5 seconds from just 240 horsepower. Up front here, we'll find custom QA1 suspension, lightweight wheels with Willwood brakes behind them, and it puts the power down to these very sticky Michelin tires. And then around back here, we'll find a Subaru source differential as well as some WRX suspension components. And if you're wondering what the cabin looks like, this is all you get. 2 bucket seats, a floor, and not much else. And the last thing I want to talk about here is the custom paint job here up front that changes color in the light. This thing has got to be the most fun you can have on 4 wheels with less than 300 horsepower. What do you guys think about it? So now you know that this is a Honda SMX, and it is a hotel room on wheels. The SMX is not only known for its suggestive name, but also for the fact that it has a party trick inside. This is the seating arrangement. Normally, it has a bench seat up front as well as the rear. But if you take out the headrests and put these down, you can turn the interior into a full-size bed. Here's how big it is. I'm 6'2" and I've got room all the way around me. But the bed isn't the only quirky thing about the SMX because it's not a 2-door, it's a 3-door. The car is completely asymmetrical. What's more is that this back door doesn't have a power window like the fronts do. It's a crank window. You also get 2 glove boxes, your traditional one here, and then above it, a nice tray with a place for your cup. Plus, the SMXs were very well known to be highly customizable. Like you have this red carbon fiber piece here, red vents, and red covers for the speakers. This one even has matching red carpets and red piping in the seats. These cars were also well known for their storage. Like you have a spot here for a tablet, you've got 3 cup holders, and then underneath that you have a hidden storage compartment. And if you've ever wondered about the name, turn the M sideways. I'm not joking. All of these things combined mean the SMX is a true JDM legend. So now you know that this is how small the S1 Elise actually is. You're really gonna make me get into this thing, aren't you? Let's just get this over with. You can already see here that the seat bottom has footprints and heavy wear from previous owners doing what I'm about to do. Basically, you have to stand in the car first, there is genuinely not a super graceful way to do this, but you lower yourself down in, and after a while, you're now inside. Here's the surprising thing. When you shut the door, you actually see you have a decent amount of space in here. Except I have no room when it comes to my thighs. The chassis is over here on this side, and then look at this. The shifter just bangs into my knee. Getting out is obviously the reverse of getting in. You kind of sit up in the seat, take your legs back, and then you stand up one leg at a time, and we're done. Or if you're shorter than 6'2" and more flexible than I am, you can slide one leg in after the other. But again, I'm way too tall for that. I've always loved these, but let me know what you think about them down in the comments. This is a Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport, and it's a hypercar built for the racetrack. Now, the standard Chiron is already a legendary car in itself, but the Pure Sport takes things to another level. These are kitted out with completely different aerodynamic bodywork, from the front bumper to the rear, and even a massive fixed wing. All of this means that the Pure Sports have a lower top speed than the standard Chiron, but they can handle the corners just that much better. Back here is one of the wildest engines ever made, a W16 with 4 turbochargers making 1,500 horsepower. So of course it goes fast, but to help bring things to a stop, take a look at the size of these brakes. One of my favorite features of the Chirons would be the dancing headlights and taillight. This light bar reminds me of Darth Vader's lightsaber. But by far the funniest quirk of the Chiron, it uses a key from like a 2002 Volkswagen Passat. We can't forget about this beautiful orange interior. Just look at all of the intricate details in here. And to keep things timeless, there's no infotainment unit in the center stack. And one of the coolest features would be this horseshoe-shaped light. And if you want to learn more about this one, you can check it out on DuPont Registry Live. So now you know that this is a 650 horsepower EV hot hatchback. It's the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, and it was designed with car enthusiasts in mind. Starting with the outside, this car definitely looks like a hot hatch with this nice performance blue color, red accents all the way around, big wheels, and big brakes behind them. And yes, this car has 650 horsepower, and it's delivered to all 4 wheels. You've got an electric motor around back as well as one up front, which you can see by popping the hood. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, aren't most hot hatches front-wheel drive? Well, if we hop in and start the car, push this button to put it in N mode, and push this button, you can then just make this front wheel drive, or go the other way and now it's rear wheel drive. You've also got optimization for all of these different controls, a lap timer, and on this screen you have all of these different controls. You can even change how this car sounds with just the push of a button. Basically, you can make this car drive exactly how you want it to. Looking back at the steering wheel, this button that says NGB, you push it and it gives you the N-Grin boost, which is 50 more horsepower. I also got to experience this on a closed road, and I can confirm that is fast. Now, beyond that, this car is loaded with tech and features. Like, for example, you push this button and you have a 360-degree view of your car. You've got a wireless charging pad down here, as well as 2 USB-Cs. And down here, you have some of the coolest cup holders ever. You've also got mood lighting here in the doors, as well as illuminated N logos here on the backs of the seats. Not to mention, these seats are super comfortable, and even with the front seat in my driving position, I have tons of legroom back here. With a 0 to 60 time of around 3 seconds, this hot hatch is an EV I can get behind. So now you know that this is one of the wildest 6th generation Civics out there. We are looking at an EK sedan where nearly everything on it has been modified in some way. Starting up front, we have this massive splitter that's chassis mounted. And take a look at the hood with all of the vents. They're functional. The wheels are Group B NCO1s on Sticky Falcon racing tires. And of course, the racing brakes behind them. And then check out the windows. You can see the cutout right here. All of these are Lexan. These were totally custom made. Nobody makes these. Finishing off the exterior, we have a carbon fiber trunk, massive carbon fiber wing, and 50/50 tails. And then take a look at the inside. There is nothing in here that does not have to do with going fast. Everything is gutted, from the doors to the floors. Speaking of floors, just look at the attention to detail. It's got a half-cut dash with carbon fiber block-offs, and here in the back you can get a really nice look at this paint-matched roll cage. And although it's a little counterintuitive for a sedan, it has one Recaro bucket seat. And then under the hood is a B18C from an Acura Integra Type R. And just like the rest of the car, every single part here is very thought out. Overall, this is one of my favorite 6th gen Civics of all time. So now you know that this is a Ferrari 430 Scuderia, and it's one of the greatest analog era Ferraris ever. The Scuderia was a stripped down, more hardcore version of the 430. These weighed quite a bit less than the standard 430s thanks to the use of lighter weight materials, like these carbon fiber mirrors for instance, and a thinner back viewing panel for the engine. The Scuderia has also had a reworked front bumper and can be easily identified by the stripes. It also had some crazy stopping power thanks to carbon ceramic brakes. And apart from the HRE wheels, there's really no modifications on this one. Inside, as part of the weight savings, you'll realize there's no carpet. Instead, you have exposed diamond plating. The door panels are also made completely of carbon fiber, and so are the heavily bolstered bucket seats. And of course, we can't forget about the carbon fiber on the steering wheel, center console, and more. And of course, here in the back, we will find a fire-breathing, flat-plane crank V8 engine making over 500 horsepower. There is carbon fiber everywhere in this engine bay, and the exhaust note on these is perfect. The 430 Scuderia will go down in history as one of the all-time greatest Ferraris. So now you know that this car needs no introduction. This is, of course, the legendary Bugatti Veyron, and this one's modified. What is there left to say about this car that hasn't already been said hundreds of times throughout the years? 250 plus miles an hour, 1,000 plus horsepower, 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, 10 radiators. If nothing else, the Veyron is just full of ridiculous statistics. When it comes to hypercars, the Veyron set the standard. Up front, you have the iconic horseshoe grille. Down the side, you have massive air intakes, as well as a couple on the roof. And of course, to do more than 250 miles an hour, this car is very aerodynamic. The rear wing hunkers down into the body at higher speeds, and it can also act as an air brake. And when braking from 250 miles an hour, this has the same braking force as a Ford Focus. Now, I did mention this one is modified. It's got a nice set of aftermarket wheels, painted valve covers, and take a look at this exhaust. And you want to know something funny? The key fob is roughly the same one you'd find on a Passat of the same era. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole car. Just look at this two-tone red and black interior. The Veyron's dashboard is timeless with no huge radio to date it. And if we look behind the steering wheel, it's got a gauge showing you how much horsepower you're using. And that speedometer is not in kilometers an hour either. And right here in the floor is where you put the speed key to unlock the car's full top speed. And of course, to help bring things to a stop, you have a set of absolutely massive brakes. There's no doubt in my mind the Veyron will go down in history as one of the best cars of all time. And if you want to learn more about this one, you can check it out on DuPont Registry Live. So now you know that, of course, this is a Tommy Kyra R, and it's an R34 GTR cranked to 11. Now, if you're unaware, Tommy Kyra is well known for modifying JDM legends like the R34 GTR. And this car has a ton of Tommy Kyra modifications. Starting with the exterior, we have a completely different front bumper and lip, and it's got a carbon fiber hood. Around the sides, it's got side skirt spats that match the ones found on the rear bumper. And of course, it's hard to ignore the massive rear wing back here. On top of that, the car has been outfitted with Volk TE37s, as well as some massive brakes behind them. And then if we look inside, you've got Tommy Kyra branded Recaros, Tommy Kyra 6-speed shifter, but perhaps coolest of all, a Tommy Kyra digital speedometer with Nismo gauges. If there's one thing Tommy Kyra does well, it's branding. But perhaps best of all, the Tommy Kyra Rs came with an upgraded RB26 twin turbo engine. The Rs came with 365 horsepower. Some, like the RZ, even came with more than 500 horsepower. Keep in mind, it's able to put that power down to all 4 wheels. There's also additional Tommy Kyra goodies like the strut bar and a massive intercooler up front. Needless to say, the Tommy Kyra R is nothing short of legendary. So now you know that this is an Apocalypse 6x6, and it is totally ridiculous. Every angle of this truck is just wild. Of course, the wildest part about this whole thing is the fact that it has 2 sets of live rear axles. And this is all legitimate off-road stuff under here, no trailer axles or any fake anything. It is incredibly capable thanks to the help of Fox suspension. You can find it on all 6 corners. The tires are a whopping 40 inches on 22-inch wheels. And if you haven't noticed by now, the entire vehicle is sprayed with bed liner. It's got ultra-wide fenders front and rear, a windshield guard with integrated lights, and a bed cover made to mimic a Cybertruck. When you open the doors, you're greeted by AMP Research running boards and an interior that has been completely reupholstered. Even the door cards and headliner are all custom stitched. And then under the hood is actually an eco diesel 3-liter engine, so it's very capable off-road. Not to mention this thing has steel bumpers, a winch, an off-road camera system, and a whole lot more. Personally, I think this is so cool, but let me know what you think about it. So now you know that this is a pristine 2004 Acura NSX-T. Let's start by taking a few moments to truly appreciate this car. This is the second to last year model of this body style produced. It has no modifications and relatively low miles. The last iteration of the NSX that was produced until 2005 lost the pop-up headlights in favor for these fixed ones. And this is an NSX-T, meaning Targa, where the roof comes off. And again, no modifications, even the wheels are the original ones on the car. One of my favorite design features on the NSX is the lack of a door handle here on the main part of the door. It's integrated up here instead. As you go inside, you are greeted by the NSX number plate here on the door sill, and just look at this leather interior. And in my book, these have one of the best looking gauge clusters of all time. And look at this, not even the original Bose radio has been replaced. And this one's a 6-speed manual. The 6-speed's got a 3.2 liter V6 making 290 or so horsepower, but the automatic's got a 3 liter making 40 horsepower less. And that was obviously because Honda's automatic transmission of the time just couldn't handle the additional power. But that just further adds to the lore of these cars, and that's what makes them more desirable. So now you know that. Is this Japan's best off-road SUV? The vehicle in question is the Mitsubishi Pajero Turbo Diesel, and it is loaded with off-road goodies. Let's start by taking a look under the hood. This is where we will find a top-mount intercooled turbo diesel engine. Back inside, we'll find all of the off-road tech. This one has a 5-speed manual and a 4-high 4-low selector. And if we look at the gauge cluster, you'll see it also has a center diff lock. And with this button here, you can adjust the stiffness of the suspension. Here on the dash, we have an altimeter, a clinometer, and it tells you the temperature inside and outside. This is also a 2-door with a very short wheelbase, which makes it much easier to maneuver off-road. And you can see just how much clearance you have inside of these massive wheel wells, even with 32-inch tires. And if you want to add a rooftop tent, Mitsubishi's got you covered there too, with a factory ladder to get on top of the roof. Combine all that with some factory add-ons like mud flaps and side steps, and of course the huge bull bar on the front with fog lights. You've got what I would consider to be one of the best off-roaders from Japan. But as always, I want to know your thoughts. So that then begs the question, this is a mid-engine turbocharged 4-wheel drive K-car hatchback. It's called the Honda Z, and it actually shares some DNA from the Acti K-Truck. Needless to say, this is far from your average K-car. This stands for under midship 4-wheel drive. The engine sits underneath the rear seats. It's a 660cc engine that's turbocharged, and it makes 63 horsepower. It's based on the Honda Acti K-Truck with the same layout. But with the Z, you get a front differential, a rear differential, and a transfer case. On a technical level, this thing is capable off-road. This Z comes with a factory body kit. You got a different front bumper, side skirts, and rear bumper, as well as the rear wing. And underneath that rear wing, you have a decal showing you not to put this through an automatic car wash. Inside, you'll see that the Z has a very cool interior. The seats have this blue, purple, and green pattern to them. And as a nod to the Acti, painted door inserts. Of course, it's right-hand drive since it was made for the Japanese market, and these only came in automatic. It's got a 7,000 RPM redline and a 2-spoke steering wheel design. It's got Z-branded floor mats and a pretty unique glove box that actually holds itself up. And yes, it does have a back seat. With the front seat moved all the way up, you do have some legroom back here. However, these rear seats recline all the way, and they can also fold flat for more storage. But besides a couple of cup holders, that's pretty much all you get back here. And lastly, the Z does in fact have a frunk. You've got access to all of your fluids, and this is where all of the tools for the spare tire kit go. But you can just remove them and put whatever you want up here instead. At the end of the day, the Z is a K car that can do it all and then some. So now you know that this K car has the coolest interior. We are taking a look at the Daihatsu Naked. Yes, that is actually its name. And this interior is crazy. And believe it or not, it's actually the back seats that's the craziest. While you can pull these levers and fold the seats down into the floor like normal, you can then pull these levers and fold the seats up. Now, while that's pretty cool and gives you a lot of cargo area, there's still one more thing. Without using any tools, you can just pop these seats right out of the car. Both sides do this, so when you pop these out, you now have a cargo area that's like 5 feet long. And then reinstallation is super simple. You just plop it in place, pull that back, now it's back in. But it gets even better. See the seatbelt buckles? You can just stow them away here in this little cubby when you're done. But wait, there's even more. The floor is completely rubberized from front to back. And then if we look up here towards the roof, you have all of these holes here on either side. This is so you can put curtain rods in here and hang stuff from the ceiling. Not to mention the seats, dash, and even the door panels are all this dark green color. So at the end of the day, the Daihatsu Naked really does have one of the coolest interiors of all time. So now you know that this unbelievably is a Honda Acti with tons of modifications. Let's just start with the body kit itself. This is a Hello Special body kit. It replaces virtually everything on the car body-wise. This cab even has this piece that extends out from the front here. And then inside, you'll notice that everything has been completely reupholstered in here and changed. It is right-hand drive because it is a JDM K-Truck after all. There's even some custom bits down here like the cup holder. Not to mention this thing is on air suspension. You have your controller right there in the center of the dash. It still retains its 5-speed manual transmission. And then if we go to the back here in the bed, it has a clear engine cover, still has the 3-cylinder engine. This thing makes roughly 45 or so horsepower, so not a ton, but again, this truck is very small and pretty light. It's got more exhaust tips than it does cylinders, but that is part of the appeal of these wild trucks. What do you guys think about this thing? Is it too much or is it just right? So now you know that this unbelievably is a base model K-Truck with 0 options. Beyond the wild wide body kit, this is a true 0 options K-Truck. Let's take a closer look inside it. What you don't get. Everywhere you look in here, it is nothing but blank switches. And while this truck has heat, there is no air conditioning. The button for it is blocked off. It does have a government mandated radio, but it is AM only, and this is the only speaker. Base spec K-Trucks only focus on things for the driver. The passenger over here is completely optional. There is no vent here. Instead, it's blocked off, and there is no sun visor, although as the driver, you do get one. This probably saved them maybe $5 a car. This is a 4-speed, not a 5-speed manual. You do not get a tachometer. This is actually pretty common for most K-Trucks. gearbox. This is where you would find your four-wheel drive selector, but again, it doesn't have that. The doors are about as plain and simple as you can get. You have crank windows and of course, no power locks. And then if we come back outside, you'll notice it doesn't even have a headache rack or a work light or anything. This is all just blank. And on top of it all, it still has the base carbureted 35 horsepower engine. Overall, this K-Truck is a great analogy for life. While someone might look full on the outside, they just might be empty on the inside. Check on your friends. So now you know that this is how small a K-Truck actually is. Spoiler alert, it's really small. I have this one parked next to a full-size pickup for reference. Great example, the front bumper matches up to the door handle on the full-size pickup. This is how much bigger the full-size pickup is lengthwise. From this angle, it is almost comical the difference in size. But watch this, I'm about to blow some of your minds. The bed length here on the K-Truck is a full 6 feet. Any guesses as to how long it is on the full-size truck? This may come as a shock to some of you. It is just 6 inches longer. Now, while that sounds good on paper, keep in mind the full-size pickup has nearly a foot wider of a bed and about double the height of the K-Truck as well. However, the K-Truck has a trick up its sleeve. You can fold the bed sides down flat to flat load just about anything you want back here under 350 kilograms. I gotta say, how many people are hauling more than 750 pounds in their bed on an average day? And while you can't really tow with a K-Truck, you definitely can with a full-size truck. Also, K-Trucks get lost very easily in parking lots. There are some trade-offs though. Where the full-size truck gets about 15 to 16 miles to gallon, the K-Truck can do about double that. It really just depends on what you need out of a pickup truck, but let me know which one you'd take down in the comments. So now you know that this is a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado SX, and it is loaded with cool stuff. We're gonna start by looking at the turbo diesel engine, or rather, the very highly modified turbo diesel engine. Most everything you see here has been modified. And believe it or not, this is actually a big turbo for this engine. Stock, these made around 100 horsepower and 200 torque, but with all the accommodating mods, it's about double that. Back on the outside, we have 33-inch tires, Volk TE37s, and auto-locking hubs. And look at the sheer size of these hurricane guards on the windows. Speaking of windows, the rear ones slide. Inside, you'll see it's right-hand drive because it was made for the Japanese market. The seats are leather and have factory lumbar support. And behind the Nardi steering wheel, you have a light for your turbo, as well as a host of other gauges. Over here, you have a light for your glow plugs, you have a button for your hub lock, and a button for 4-high. And then here in the middle is an altimeter, as well as a thermometer that tells you the temperature inside and out. These came with a 5-speed manual or automatic transmission. Down here's your 4-low selector. And then check this out, you have adjustable suspension. Keep in mind, most of this is factory equipment. If we look up, we have a sunroof. Besides an access panel, there's not a whole lot here for the back seat. The very back is super cool because it has barn doors. There's even speakers in both rear doors. And overall, the Land Cruiser Prado SX is one of the coolest off-roaders to come from Japan. So now you know that this is a Toyota Estima Aris, and it's one of the coolest JDM vans. First off, the Aris editions came with a full body kit that runs all the way around the van. And to be more specific, this is a 3.0 Aris, which means under the hood is the same 1ME FE V6 engine that we had in the Toyota Camry. So not only does this van make decent power, but finding parts is super easy, which is a good thing because if we look in the back, we'll see that this was actually a postal service vehicle here in the US. And since rural mail routes can get pretty rugged, these are perfect because they have all-wheel drive. And it's a pretty trick all-wheel drive system. You actually have the ability to turn it on and off here inside. And speaking of inside, we got a lot to talk about here. Being made for the Japanese market, these are right-hand drive, and you'll notice there's no gauge cluster behind the wheel. In the late 90s, Toyota started putting their gauge clusters here in the middle on some vehicles. And this thing is loaded with tech. Not only does it have navigation, but it also has television, a tape player, AM, FM, and even a CD player all in one. And if there's a glare on the screen, you can push this button to tilt the display. And if you're in a tight parking spot, you have sonar parking sensors. And this knob adjusts the height of your headlights up or down. You've even got power folding mirrors in here. And this van has storage compartments everywhere. If you run out of places to put stuff, it's your own fault. The back area is super cool too. All of the seats are on rails. With the front seat all the way up, I can fully recline back here. We're talking ridiculous amounts of legroom. But even with the driver's seat in my position, everyone, including the third row, has plenty of legroom. Every single seat back here gets their own light, air vent, and cup holder. There's even more cup holders here in the armrest. There's cup holders in the doors, and even one more pop-out cup holder if needed. And lastly, since this back seat slides forward, you can give yourself as much cargo room as you need. Overall, these make phenomenal daily driver vans. So now you know that
above 155 miles an hour, they stop trying to classify hurricanes. 155 miles an hour is a category 5. There is no category 6. Because if there was, there'd be nobody left to classify it once it had passed. The Bugatti Veyron will pass through the air at 252 miles an hour, so you have some idea of the forces of nature at work here, and the reasons why it needs to haul that vast aeroplane wing into the airstream to keep it stable. It's also why it needs 16 cylinders, 8 litres, 4 turbochargers, 10 radiators, and 1,000 horsepower. Everything about this car is category 6. Except, that is, the skill level required to drive it. Your mother could. A flappy paddle gearbox developed by people who develop Formula 1 gearboxes. And a four-wheel drive system developed with some considerable amount of head-scratching by rocket scientists means you just get in and drive. And you won't drive anything faster. Anything.
this is a Suzuki Cappuccino, and it is small. And I mean like really small. Here it is parked next to an average mid-size SUV for comparison, and I've got the two back bumpers lined up, so what I'm about to show you is going to be a crazy angle. The front bumper doesn't even come to the wheel well on this SUV right here, and this angle right here really goes to show just how small this car is. On top of being small, it's also very short. The roof line only comes up to the door handles on the SUV. And as far as overall width goes, you can virtually hug this car. But here's what it means for the driver. Getting into this car is a feat in and of itself. Keep in mind, I'm 6'2". First thing I have to do is remove the steering wheel, which lucky for me, this car can do. Next, I have to completely duck and go in backwards like this into the car, and then pull my other leg in here, and now I'm in. With the steering wheel properly installed here, I have almost no leg room, and I have no room side to side. Matter of fact, my arm is in the door. Here you go, just watch this right here. That is my arm in the door. Keeping in mind these are lower profile aftermarket seats, so I actually have more headroom than normal. Even still, I have none. However, there is an easy solution. If you pull down on these tabs, one in front of you and one behind you, this roof panel just pops out. Now I have infinite headroom. Matter of fact, all of these roof panels top out to make it a Targa, T-top, or a convertible. All that to say, if you're over 6 feet tall and you're young and spry, you will have absolutely no problems with the Suzuki Cappuccino. Would you own one of these little things? So now you know that this is one of the wildest S10s on the planet. Every single piece on this truck has been wildly customized. The engine has been swapped with a small block 305 Chevy with a massive supercharger. The paint is simply crazy. It goes all the way around the truck, inside and out. And then there's the doors. This style of door is actually modeled after Koenigsegg. Taking a look inside, you'll notice it's also right-hand drive. And then if we look at the back of the cab, it's been converted to unibody. It's also tucking 20-inch billet specialty wheels. But by far, the wildest part on this entire truck would be the rear suspension setup. This is an airbag over hydraulic suspension setup, and it is fully functional. And then you have the bed itself, which has been molded around completely and has the taillights shaved off. And honestly, the longer you look at this truck, the more details you will see. From the airbrushed artwork to the suspension setup and even the doors, this truck is wild from front to back. So now you know that this is the wildest Lamborghini Diablo that's actually not. Because you see, this isn't actually a Lamborghini at all. This is actually a Toyota MR2 with a fiberglass Lamborghini Diablo kit on it. Now, I've seen a lot of kits in my day, and I have to say this one is one of the most convincing I've ever seen. And this thing is modified to an insane degree, starting with the graphics that run all the way around the car. Next, the car is sitting incredibly low thanks to some custom airlift performance suspension. It's also rocking a set of custom billet wheels that are 20 by 15 wide here in the rear. There's also a fair bit of carbon fiber on the car, such as the wing, taillight surrounds, and even the mirrors. And just like the real deal, the doors go up. Inside, we'll find some custom seats as well as a billet steering wheel. And then around back is the standard 2.2 liter engine that came in the MR2. And credit where credit's due, the license plate is perfect. At the end of the day, this thing is rad from every angle. So now you know that this Lincoln Continental has a V10 engine swap. And it's not a Dodge Viper V10. Oh no, this came from a Ford F-250. So it is a 4-valve gas V10 engine out of a truck. And it is tuned to about 500 horsepower, and it revs to 8,300 RPMs. Here's what that sounds like. Now, beyond the wild swap, the guys at BIY, Build It Yourself on YouTube, they've gone and done a bunch of other modifications, like the brakes, for example. These came off of a Shelby GT500. They're massive. It's also sitting incredibly low thanks to 4-corner air suspension. Beautiful wheels. But one of my favorite things about the Continentals is the interiors. This one has been modified a good amount. It's actually got V10 logos here in the headrest, and you can see the custom shifter setup, and look at that beautiful shift knob there as well. And then around back here, even more carbon fiber. This thing is a build that you would totally not expect, but I gotta know, what do you guys think about it? So now you know that dually trucked the long way. This stretched pickup is one of the most modified trucks I have ever seen. At a whopping 26 feet long, this truck is certainly a long boy. The truck, as you see it here, is a complete time capsule, untouched for roughly 30 years. From here to about here, about 5 feet was added onto this truck by the original owner. This extra cab length allowed for a 3rd row to be installed, and the paint is just incredible. It is a tri-color flip running all the way around the truck. And then we have the graphics. Everything you see here has been airbrushed. The details on it are crazy. Stuff like this is definitely a lost art. And if we look back here at the end of the monstrous bed, you'll notice it is a dually, and the wheels are 16-inch concept Nippers N8s. Inside, the interior is finished in factory blue, and here in the back seat we'll find a PlayStation and a TV with VCR. And here it is in process of being cut up. And here's that custom TV box with the PlayStation. Again, stuff like this is a lost art, but there's still one more thing you need to see. Under the hood, we will find a 454 big block V8 engine. As far as custom trucks go, safe to say this is the biggest, the largest, and one of the coolest. This is a Mansory Lamborghini Urus, and it's one of the wildest Lamborghinis I've ever seen. Mansory is very well known for making very polarizing modifications to exotic cars just like this Lamborghini Urus. This one is no exception. Let's take a look at it. Starting up front, if we take a look around, the whole car is purple, but you can see more forged carbon here than anything else. It's got a completely different hood and different front bumper with lights that mimic those of the Revuelto. Here on the fenders, we'll notice the wide body kit as well as these massive 24-inch wheels. The mirror caps are again more forged carbon, as well as the side skirts. Here on the quarter panel, you have these flying buttresses, and around back you have not one, not two, but 3 rear wings, all forged carbon. And then back here you can see just how wide the wide body kit is, going into the custom rear bumper with a tri-tip exhaust that reminds me of the Apollo IE. Inside, we'll find that the seats have this green contrast stitching carbon fiber everywhere, and the doors have Lamborghini puddle lights. And lastly, underneath the forged carbon hood is a twin turbocharged V8 that normally makes 650 or so horsepower. However, some Mansory Uruses are capable of over 900 horsepower. At the end of the day, this is one of the most polarizing Lamborghinis of all time, so let me know what you guys think about it. So now you know that this Mazda B-Series pickup has a rotary inside. This is one of the coolest engine swaps I have ever seen inside of a mini truck. This is, of course, a 13B rotary engine from a Mazda RX-7 with a nice turbocharger attached to it, with the dump going out of the hood as well. In this current configuration, this engine pumps out 500 horsepower. And while we're in here, take a look at everything else surrounding the engine. No matter where you look, everything has been customized or modified to fit the engine, suspension, and the wheels. Take a look at these TIS wheels. They are fully polished billet wheels with Willwood brakes behind them. This is a very wild angle to see from down here. Take a look here in the bed as well. You can see this 4-pump setup. This truck is on hydraulics, by the way, from Hoppos with the engraved end caps down here. And you can see the Picasso here in the cantilever arms here for the suspension. This truck really has had everything modified to a super high degree. And it doesn't stop there, because inside everything has also been modified. You actually have engraved plaques on the dash, a huge screen here in the middle, and every single piece you see here is completely reupholstered. Not to mention the custom sound system in the back. This thing is incredibly loud too. And then finishing us off around back, classic mini truck and move here with the sideways plate inside of the tailgate, which is also molded, by the way. But look at these taillights. If they look familiar to you, these are S10 taillights just flipped around, but take a closer look. They're also engraved clears. These are just so rad. I love them. I've been around mini trucks my whole life. I've seen tons of them. This is up there as one of my favorites, but what do you guys think about it? So now you know that this is the greatest car that Mazda ever made. It's the Unos Cosmo 3-rotor, and it is perfection. Let's just jump straight into what makes this car so cool by taking a look under the hood. Normally, this is where you will find a 2-rotor engine, but this is Mazda's legendary 20B 3-rotor engine. Paired with a sequential twin-turbo setup, the power delivery on this car is immaculate. Mazda only ever made a couple thousand of these, but what's sad is that there's even fewer of the 3-rotors left. That's because people would take these engines and throw them into RX-7s. There are not many 3-rotor Unos Cosmos left, even fewer in such great shape and original condition like this one. And this one is a top trim. You have this 2-tone body kit running all the way around, and you even have Cosmo lights here at the bottom of the side skirts. However, it is the interior of these cars that is just sublime. Let me shut the door for full effect here. When you are sitting in this cabin, you are completely enveloped by the dash. And whereas, say, a Toyota Supra is more driver-centric, this one makes everyone in the cabin feel very special. The dash is completely digital, and it also has displays over here for the passenger for the speed and the time. The seats are very heavily bolstered, and you actually have a decent amount of legroom here for the backseat passengers, and a nice center console running all the way through the car. You've also got some nice luxury features like all of these seat controls. And one of the coolest features can be found here at the back of the steering wheel. This stalk right here that says Sony on it, this is your control for the radio. Everything about this car was just so advanced for the time. And if you're in the market for one of these, good luck finding one. I do this for a living, and this is only the second one I've ever seen. While you might be able to enjoy an RX-7 on the weekends, you can enjoy a Unos Cosmo 3-rotor any day of the week. So now you know that this is a Mercedes-AMG GTR, and it was built for the Nürburgring. The GTR is the more track-focused bigger brother to the AMG GT. Visually, the GTR is much more aggressive than the GT, as it has a completely reworked front end, different aero around the sides, and even a big rear wing around back. But perhaps the biggest change can be found under the hood. The 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine now produces 577 horsepower, resulting in a 0 to 60 time of about 3.5 seconds. So combine the handcrafted engine along with the aerodynamics, the bigger brakes, and bigger tires, and you've got a car that'll lap the Nürburgring in just over 7 minutes. And speaking of the Nürburgring, the color of this car was named after it, Green Hell Magno. Another thing to note is that everything you see here is carbon fiber, so it keeps the weight down. And there is of course more carbon fiber on the inside, found on the steering wheel and center console. There's also heavily bolstered bucket seats, as well as the Affalterbach logo embossed into the armrest. Since the GTR was heavily developed at the Nürburgring, this car is basically like a track day cheat code. And if you want to learn more about this particular example, you can check it out on DuPont Registry Live. So now you know that this paint job cost $2.7 million. First off, this is no ordinary AMG GT. This is of course the Black Series. What makes this car worth $2 million something more than your standard Black Series would be the paint job. These hand-painted Mercedes diamonds were only available on specific models of the AMG GT Black Series. And in order to have this paint job on your car, you had to purchase an AMG Project 1. Those cars cost $2.7 million, hence the value of the paint job on this car. Only about 40 or so of these were ever made, and about 25 of them ended up in North America. Now beyond that, the Black Series is essentially a race car for the road. Everything you see here essentially is carbon fiber. And here's a fun detail. If we look at these Michelin tires, you actually have an outline of the car in the sidewall. Moving inside, you have blue piping and stitching to match all of the accents on the outside of the car. You have the Affalterbach logo here on the armrest, and there is Alcantara everywhere. Basically, the entire door card itself is made of it. And then, of course, under the hood is a 4-liter flat plane crank twin turbocharged V8 making 720 horsepower. Fun fact, it's actually front mid-mounted. You can see the engine rests almost entirely behind the front wheels. Needless to say, this is no ordinary Mercedes-Benz. So now you know that here's everything you need to know about my lifted all-wheel drive Civic. Welcome to Deep Dive. Let's start with the suspension. This is running a full custom 6-inch lift kit from HRG Off-Road. It utilizes CRV suspension both for the front and the back. And while we're back here, let's look at the all-wheel drive setup from S1 Built. This kit utilizes billet lower control arms, their trailing arms, and their diff mount for CRV. Next, let's talk exterior mods, starting with the front end. It's got a bash bar meant for a Jeep Wrangler, OEM Plus PIA fog lights, a snorkel meant for a Toyota Land Cruiser, and a 52-inch light bar on top. And although this car is a 2000-year model, it has a 96 to 98 front end, as well as a 96 to 98 rear end. For wheels and tires, I'm running a 15x8 zero offset for the front and rear, and it's on 29-inch mud terrains. And for the fronts, I've outfitted these turbo fans out of some old hubcaps. Next, the car is wrapped in Inozatec slate gray, and I've put some stripes on it in the style of Ken Block's old RS200. Truthfully, I haven't washed it in a while, so it's a bit dirty. Next, let's look at the interior. I'm running a Bridgemoto GT steering wheel, a beautiful hybrid racing shifter setup, and blacked out seats from an FG2 Civic SI. And I also recently installed this pitch and roll gauge. And lastly, under the hood is a B-Series tuned by Jason Waters Tuning. Full transparency, I've had the snorkel off while it's been raining. It's got an ACT clutch, Passport motor mounts, and a 3-inch subframe drop to help with axle angles. Now you've seen pretty much every inch of this car. Let me know in the comments which car you'd like to see a deep dive on next. This is Hans Veilside RX-7 from Tokyo Drift. This isn't a replica either. This is a movie-used car from the chase scene in Tokyo Drift. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Veilside name, they don't just make body kits. It's more or less a complete rebody of the car. Let's start up front with a completely different front bumper as well as custom headlight housings. It's also got a completely different hood where the paint follows the body line all the way down to the front. And Veilside doesn't just do the body kits, they also have their own wheels that are made to fit these cars specifically. Looking down the side, you can see just how much wider this body extends out than the factory one. And these vents aren't just for looks either, they're completely functional. Now the rear bodywork is incredible incredibly different from factory. You can actually see it's nearly flat through here. It's also got a completely different hatch, different bumper, and a huge rear wing. Inside, we'll find a super clean interior. It's got a pair of veil side bucket seats and the all-important signature on the dash. And then under the hood is a highly modified big turbo 13B rotary engine. All that combined makes this one of the most legendary cars of all time. So now you know that this is not a Porsche. This is a roof turbo R, and it is a missile. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the name, this is basically a 911 turbo just cranked to 11. Let's go ahead and cut straight to the chase. The Turbo Rs came equipped with Porsche's 3.6 liter flat six air-cooled turbocharged engine. But instead of about 400 horsepower, these made closer to 500. That means the Turbo Rs had a top speed of about 200 miles an hour. To help it achieve that top speed, it has a reworked front bumper as well as a bigger rear wing, along with some other roof goodies like 19-inch wheels. But take a look inside. Everything has been reupholstered in blue leather. Everything from the door cards, the roof branded steering wheel, and even the dash are all stitched blue leather. And it's got a 6-speed manual transmission. And to top it all off, it's able to put the power down to all 4 wheels. If you're looking for an elevated Porsche experience, the Roof Turbo R might be for you. And if you want to learn more, check it out on DuPont Registry Live. So now you know that this is not a Porsche. This is a Roof RGT, and it is incredible. First off, the paint is unbelievable, and if you're thinking to yourself, it just looks silver, watch this. If we dim the lights and put this light on it, this car has ChromaFlare holographic silver paint. In the sun, it is ridiculous. But of course, here in the studio with the soft light, it just looks silver. Now, the RGT was designed to be the ultimate driver's car. And if we pop the back, we will find a naturally aspirated 3.8 liter Metzger flat six engine making 450 horsepower. While we have this open, you can see this car has a lot of carbon fiber on it. Matter of fact, the car has so much of it, it only weighs 2,900 pounds. And remember when I said this isn't a Porsche? That's true. This is a true roof with a W09 VIN. It's got all the roof accompaniment like a wide body kit, roof wheels, and roof brakes. And check out the interior. Everything has been reupholstered in blue. You've got the roof steering wheel, Carrera GT style seats, and even matching blue door cards. This car also came from Japan. It has an in-car phone and toll card reader. And this is a driver's car after all, so it has a 6-speed manual transmission. This interior also features an integrated roll cage and no rear seats. All that combined makes this car feel sharper than a GT3. And with only about 14 of these ever being made, you'd be hard pressed to find another. So if you're interested in the RGT and you want to learn more, check it out on DuPont Registry Live. So now you know that